you so much for coming back to Sarita Talks. Oh my gosh, what a season we're having here. We've had some excellent people come on from all walks of life, but you've got to know my favorite people, the ones that are most dear to my heart, are my formerly incarcerated folks that are out here moving and grooving. We got a repeat guest here. Repeat offender. There's nothing offensive about us. But Kelly Mahana, Kelly from Authentic Recovery. And man, this guy hits me up. He says, listen, I need to talk to the people that are coming out and give them some hope. And I said, man, I'm down for that. So Kelly, start kind of catch the audience up a little bit about you first. For anybody that hasn't seen a past episode, shame on you. Okay. Like, do better next time. But in the meantime, tell us a little, catch us up to Kelly. What's going on with you?
Yeah, so a brief summary of my life. I got involved in the system at 10 years old, went to juvenile prison, spent the major the majority of my teenage years in the system and in juvenile prison. I ended up going to actual adult prison when I was also a teenager. I spent all my 20s in prison and I got out when I was 32. I didn't have no hope though. Like I didn't reform in prison. I didn't find religion. I was addicted to like politicking, the drugs, and just like that prison lifestyle. And that's who I thought I was. So when I did get out, I didn't even know I was getting out. Like I thought my case manager was just telling me that because like I
Yeah.
never signed no paperwork or nothing.
Right, right.
And so I didn't I don't want to say change, but I want to say I didn't start actually believing in myself or thinking my life could be something other than like prison and like just dumb shit and stress and hurt and pain and
Mm-hmm.
struggling until after I got out. And that's kind of
Which
what I
must have
wanted
been
to talk about.
strange. Well, it must have been strange. Like, wow, now I'm getting out of prison. And I remember you saying this. You were like, what am I going to do? I'm like 30 something years old. Tell us about how that felt.
For real, I felt like a loser. Like I didn't have no work experience. Even I couldn't get hired at McDonald's. I remember I applied at McDonald's, they wouldn't hire me. I applied
What
everywhere.
was your excuse at McDonald's?
They didn't give me no excuse. They just didn't get me. And when I went in person, and they're like, "Oh no, we're sorry, bro." You know what I mean?
Wow.
So they
Okay, I'm
didn't.
sorry. Now go ahead. Tell me, pick up where you left off. I just can't believe McDonald's. Shame on you, McDonald's. Come
Well, not,
on.
not only that, the first job I did get, I only got because someone who was in the halfway house with me was working there. And so
Oh.
that was a dishwashing job, and I was making $11 an hour. And that job kind of that job forced me to look at myself because the owners of the restaurant, it was like a little steakhouse, and I have tattoos like on my face and my head and my ears and shit and all over. And so
Mhm.
like half of my job was to bust tables, and the other half was to do the dishes. And so the owner of the restaurant pulled me to the side one day and he was like, "Hey Kelly, you know, how about you stop bussing tables? Like
Aw.
our customers don't really like the way you look, and it's not good for us to have someone who looks like you out there." Um, and so you would think like, "Oh, cool, I don't have to do like half the work now." You would think that would be a good feeling,
Yeah,
but when
but
you're a 30-something-year-old man and you're making $11 an hour and you get told you're not even good enough to pick up dirty dishes, it
yeah,
fucks with your mental. And so
I hear you.
I just was really defeated, was is a good word, internally and morally. And I was like, man, like how am I ever gonna live and survive? And like this $11 an hour once I get out the halfway house, it ain't gonna I can't live nowhere for that. Not in
Yeah.
Denver, not in the Denver metro.
Well, we're not going to cut out the middle, but at the end, this man is extremely successful now. Okay. This man has got it going. And where he's starting at is something we talked about before the camera started rolling. That when we get out, and here was my plan, like if I had to be a custodian, I was going to be a custodian. I planned on having two jobs. Like I knew the town that I was going to, the mall is active. So I was going to get me a little job at like JC Penney or something. You know what I'm saying? But if I had to scrub a toilet, I'm not above that. I was just going to take whatever job I could get. And when I first got out, I had a full time job, but I worked at a telemarketing place. I I used to say I was Jason Statham because I would get up in the morning. I was a transporter at 4 a.m., go pick up medical specimens and driving 2 hours away, come back at like 8 a.m. Like, come on, man. Like, we do whatever it takes because we're going to be some of the hardest employees you ever get. But so tell me, we're going to backtrack to, and I got my own story being beat down after a job fair, and I was wearing shoes that were donated. So let me tell you, I've been down through
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
But
my
yeah,
shit,
so
all my clothes were donated too. I had two pairs of shoes. One was a size too big, one was a half a size too small. I got the one that was too big from the donation closet. The ones that were too small, one of my homies gave them to me in the Wayway. And I had two t-shirts and two pairs of pants. All that shit was donated.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it like the feeling is like disgusting. And you feel
Mhm,
like you feel in the world like how the world says you are, and how you've been called like a loser and a nothing and a no
mhm.
one, and something's always wrong with you. And when you have to get donated clothes in your 30s and you can't even pick up dirty dishes, um that outward shit starts to reflect inwardly, and it
Yeah,
hurts.
it does. It do, and here's another thing too, though. A lot of people can't relate. Like people just cannot relate to the feeling of having to rebuild again and how disheartening that is, and then having to do everything. And you've never done this. Let's just go back to the man's beginning of his story. He's been locked up since he was 10, basically, in and out. Correct?
I mean, in and out of juvenile
Yeah,
detention centers and juvenile prison starting at the age of 10. And then I got sent to prison when I was a teenager and got out in my 30s.
yeah, yeah. So listen, did you even know how to drive a car? Did you know how to drive a car?
Yeah, I know how to drive a car. I
Oh,
didn't know
okay.
how to
Well,
turn
I
on
was
a phone. There's a lot of things I didn't know though. Like
right,
I'm
right.
gonna be straightforward. Like there's a lot of stuff I didn't know. And like when I was about to get out of the halfway house, I was so
Hmm.
scared because at that point in my mind, I was frustrated with where I was in life. Um and I didn't know how I was gonna survive. But I knew internally that I didn't want to hurt no one no more, and I didn't want to
Hmm.
continue to be what I'd always been. And so literally there was a part of me, like I remember I got my first apartment. I didn't even know how to pay the bills for my apartment, but I couldn't even
Wow.
afford furniture. And so the halfway house I was in, before they just let you go on a pass to your own place. So it starts with the
Aw.
overnight pass, and then
Yeah.
like they did it like slowly. And so I was
And did
on a
that
pass.
help? Was that good for you?
Man, I don't know honestly because I was sitting there. I didn't have no furniture. I didn't have nothing in there. I was just sitting on the floor,
Yeah.
and like it didn't
Like, is
feel
this
good.
it?
Like it didn't feel good, and I
Yeah.
really didn't know how I was gonna be able to maintain it after I got out. And I just remember telling myself, like thinking to myself, like, man, I just don't want to hurt no one, and I don't want to like sell like I don't want to do what I've done because I
Yeah.
there's a part of me that's like I'm all in, and like I'm not gonna be out here struggling when I know I could kick doors or sell dope or get out
Hmm.
doors.
I got that when you're like, I don't want to hurt anybody. And that's so sad that, you're putting people in such a bad or bad position in life that the options become so narrow, so hyper focused, and none of them are, oh, I'm gonna walk down to the bank in my nice suit and get a job, and then I'll have a place to stay for 2 weeks so I get paid. Like, those are not options to I don't have a uncle I can call and get $1,000 to get me
I don't
through
have no one I could call, and not
there.
only
You know what
that,
I'm saying?
at this time, I didn't know how to communicate effectively with other adults. Because I was talking with prison slang. I just talk how we talk in the penitentiary. I grew up in institutions, and like having like adult communication was new to me. And these are all things that you don't get prepared for. So when I'm in an interview, I'm like, I'm over here cursing and I'm using slang, and these people are
No.
just looking at me like I'm dumb, and I'm just over here thinking like, yo, I'm a real one. I'm shooting them straight forward. They're gonna appreciate that. They don't
You need
appreciate
to
that.
hire me, man. I'm a real one.
Yeah, like they don't appreciate that, you know.
I'm sorry, that is hilarious. Did you put that on your resume? Like, I got the Riz.
I didn't even have a resume. I was just like going.
Okay.
I'm not going. I wasn't going to like these professional type places. I was going to places people refuse to work at, like
Yeah.
shitty ass jobs.
Yeah.
But
So,
that's what
but
it
you
was.
didn't give up hope. And now you have authentic recovery, which is huge. You're doing great things. You're in Colorado, and you just recently received a proclamation, which is something like a big deal. Tell us
Yeah.
about it, please.
Uh, so I like, and this is what I want to speak to, and this is kind of what I wanted. Like, I was like, "Yo, we got to talk about this." Is at some point when you go all in on yourself in today's day and age, like, so what I ended up doing was I parlayed my $11 an hour job to a $12 job to a $15 job to two $15 an hour jobs to a
Mhm.
$16 an hour job that had benefits, and then I just worked over during the day and overnight. um but so what happened was I got a contract with the city of Denver for Authentic,
Yeah,
and
nice, nice.
it was so
As a sober
organic.
living home.
Yeah, and recovery, not just sober living. We do more than just sober living.
Yeah,
We do a lot of peer support services. We're out there tough in the community.
love
And
it.
so I had like I got someone who I knew who has just been like an online supporter of me since I founded Authentic, reached out and was like, "Hey, you should talk to my friend. He's real interested in peer support and sort of like how lived experience can be meaningful to people who are
Yeah.
re-entering, you know." And so I had no clue who this individual was or like
Mhm.
what they were involved with or nothing. So I go, I meet this guy, we chat, we have a conversation. We both end up crying, as we're speaking. Cause I'm just
Oh,
sharing, yeah, I'm just sharing my story and like I'm reflecting on like how, we talk a lot about statistics, and statistically, there's no statistic for someone like me to be where I'm at, right? It's all
mhm.
like you're gonna die in prison, or if you get out, you're gonna be a victim of a violent crime, or you're gonna kill someone and go back and die in prison. And so I was just really grateful to not be in that space where I felt like the
Mhm.
world was beating me up every day. Well, so anyways, I meet with this guy, we have lunch, we both get a little emotional. And I'm like, all right, cool, bro, nice meeting you. And then I leave. The next day, he calls me up. He works for the city of Denver, not just for the city of Denver, but with the mayor's office. And they have a new initiative. It's not new anymore, but at the time it was brand new in Denver, and it was called Roads to Recovery. And so what
Okay.
that was the mayor of Denver and the local administration in Denver had realized that one of their initiatives, the House 1,000, which was like, let's get these homeless people housed and let's get them off the streets. um,
Yeah.
they realized like the building don't fix the problems. You're not addressing the core
The mental
issues,
health, the
the
trauma.
substance abuse, the
Yeah.
trauma, the years of like, and what people don't talk about is like you get out of prison or you're in homelessness, and you don't even feel like a human being anymore, and other
Yeah.
humans don't look at you as a human. Especially in Denver, you'll be in Denver and you'll see people treating their dogs like they're princes and princesses, and there'll be humans dying on the street, and they'll look at them disgusting, and it will disturb them. And while it
And
can be true that like, yeah, they got themselves where they're at, we all are human on this shared space. um
amen. I love that. I
yeah.
really love that. Let me tell you. So often, and I'll tell people real quick. Matthew 7:1 says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." And who is free of sin cast the first stone. So here's my thing: is we're always so quick to look down on somebody else, and I just, when people meet me, they don't think that I've been in prison 14 and a half years. They do not think that my life was the way it was. And I'm here to tell you that just because the outside doesn't look like it, you don't know what somebody's been through. Okay. And you don't know what you're passing, who that is that you see on the outside. Look deep in someone's heart. You can't. So treat them as you'd want to be treated. It's crazy. The way,
Right.
and you're in Denver, it's not just Denver, it's everywhere.
No, it's not just Denver. It's not. And
It's
so
sad.
he called me back. That individual called me back like the next day. He was like, "Hey, do you mind if me and some of my team come tour one of your places?" And I was like, yeah, sure. And I still didn't know like what it was or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
like I'm just true to myself. So like when I first stepped into this space, I would dress differently and I would speak differently and I
Mm-hmm.
would present as how I thought I was supposed to present to be
Mm-hmm.
present and be successful in this space. But at this point, I've been in this space long enough that I'm just comfortable in my own skin and
That's
I
right.
don't care who likes me or who doesn't like me. And I don't care what politics or the people are saying I'm supposed to say or speak or believe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just true to myself.
I
And
love
so
that.
when these people, it was from the mayor's office, they came and
Mm-hmm.
they toured one of my places, you know, and they're like, "Dang, this is a beautiful place." And they're like, "And you're here and it's not affecting you." And I was like, "Look, here's the deal. Like, I used to sell crack right here. You
Mm-hmm.
know, right there, me and my homies kicked in that door one time. You see this building right here? Sometimes I had to sleep in the laundry room because I had nowhere to go.
Right.
So all I've ever done is take and hurt and be harmed by this community. And I don't want that for myself no more. And I'm
Wow.
not gonna run away and go somewhere else and live my best life somewhere else. You know,
Yeah.
like I want to give back to the place that I've done nothing but harm.
I love it's authentic recovery and that you're going to be true to yourself because at the end of the day, that's what is going to bring people to you. That's why people are flourishing and doing well at authentic recovery homes because if it's always most of the time a top down effect. So if I can look to my leadership and feel good about where this person's coming from, what they're saying, what they've done, and what they're doing, would you agree?
100%. And that's how I used to get all my clients. Is I pull up at all these spaces and all the professionals
Right, right.
would look at me like I was the client. So they pushed me over to where all the clients were. So while they're over there with their high horse thinking they're better than everyone, I'm
Yeah.
over here talking to everyone else. I'm like, shit, I got a spot. Why you're
That's
waiting
the
for
thing
this?
too. Wait, that's the thing too. Have you noticed how people who come from an academic background, people who took a criminal justice class that mastered in social work, they feel like they've got it. They've got all the answers and solutions that they read somewhere, and
Heck
that me
yeah.
and you with lived experience, you know what? It's not so much maybe them, but the people looking in, like us with the lived experience, can never bring as much value, although we outvalue
Yeah, they
that other crew.
devalue us as humans. So what I've learned over these past few years since I've
Oh, Kelly, I lost you. Let's see if you come back. He was talking about what he learned over these last few years. He's back. We got him back.
yeah,
Okay.
sorry. So what
That's
I've
all
learned over these past few years is people when they say they want to see you successful, they only want to see what their version of someone like you success should be. They
say it
don't
again.
yeah, they don't want you sitting at the same table as them or better yet, succeeding to a higher table.
Preach.
And so when you talk about like
Absolutely.
social work and all that, a lot of those individuals they feel sorry for us, right? They
Hmm.
don't they don't
We got somebody tuning in. Thanks. If you want to throw something in the chat, go ahead and do it. Thank you so much. But yeah, tell us more about those people because they do. They're ready to put somebody in a box, and that's
so
not cool.
I'll tell you a story. I went into parole and this was when I'm already established. This was like last year. And
What? Okay.
I walked into parole and there's other people who work in my space there. So I sit down with all the parolees and all the people,
Mm-hmm.
all the professionals are sitting off in the corner by themselves. And so they hand me the sign-in sheet. Shit, I put my name and my DOC number on it. You know what I mean? Like I am me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like
I hear you.
and then I go to hand it to someone else and they're like, I'm not signing that. I'm a professional. I'm like, okay, well pass the paper, fool. Like, don't be a
Yeah,
dick.
you
You
hear
know what I
me?
mean? And
Yeah.
then the parole people who were running it, they treated me like a parolee too. They're like, "Oh, hey,
Wow.
you need to come back here and talk to us." And da 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 da. So I went. And I just played the part. And then when I'm walking with them, the big boss for like the whole region walked up, and the lady started trying to fuck, you know, oh hi da 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 da. And then she still thought I was just a parolee. And then she's like, "Oh, you know Kelly?" She's like, "Yeah, I just met him. We're gonna get him hooked up with some resources. Hopefully
Not
he
the
does.
resources.
Hopefully he doesn't go back this time." And the head of the region just looked at her and goes, "You know that dude's the owner of Authentic, right? Like he
Oh,
and
that's so terrible.
and she felt stupid, and she like you could see it on her face, but who am I? Like I want to see you for who you really are. Because when
Mm-hmm.
I walk in and you think I'm someone, how you treat me is different. But when I walk in and you treat me how you would normally treat you, I get to see if you're the type of individual I even want to have any relationship with, professionally or personally, or have my staff involved with.
You know what? I can speak to that. I know a young lady who recently was just going through it, battling some illness. For some reason, she had shaved her head. She ended up getting a face tattoo or whatever. She got her kids back in her life, and she was like, "Sarita, every time I go to like a DFS, anything, since I don't have hair and I have a tattoo on my face, they treat me so bad. They treat me so bad. They treat me so bad." And I don't doubt her for a minute because it is about how you look, and that is sad but true. And let me tell you, I got a friend who just told me recently, she was like, well, it's pretty privilege. Like if you pass those societal norms and check all the boxes, then you go a lot further. Because let me tell you, since I have been home, the job that I had, there was times where my texts, I didn't know how to send an email with an attachment. I just had a good smile and I was nice to people and I kept trying
Right.
real hard.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're, and I remember you had said something like aesthetically pleasing. Okay.
Yeah.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And we all, we're all putting ourselves in these boxes. And I think we started this conversation on if you don't fit in the box of society and you're newly released, how do you keep your hope alive? What do you do? And yet you are you're the exception, not the rule. I can agree. But what can we do to make everybody know that these are things they're capable of?
So this is what I say. Like when I'm working one on one with people who like come from my background, who were
Hmm.
grew up gang members, grew up hungry. Like I tell people, bro, I've been hungry for food my whole life. Not like hungry, ambitious wise for more.
Yeah,
I mean to eat. Right?
right.
There's times I was selling crack, not because I'm trying to get rich, not because I'm big meech, bro. I was never selling keys. Me and all my people, we were selling quays and balls and
Mm.
halves and zips and like, and we're doing that to survive, literally, right? And so people get caught up in the glitz and the glamour. There's no glitz and glamour in it. So I've been
There's really
hungry.
not.
I
And,
went to
and
prison. I'm hungry. State pay on a level 4 when you don't have a job is $9 a month, not including
no,
when they take out your fucking restitution. I'm hungry. You can't
yeah.
live off childhood food. I'm 6'4". I'm 258 pounds. Like I
And
had to
we be
sell
saying that
dope
he's
in prison to eat. I had to learn how to fucking play car. I had to big body some fools a couple times. I had to learn how to cut hair. I had to start tattooing. I had to become a person who who I didn't want to be,
oh
but
yeah.
the world don't care about you. And so
No.
when I got out here and I was hungry, I was gonna eat, but I didn't want to eat that way no more. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I try to tell the people, and I'm not talking to the dude who goes to prison and he got his mom and his grandma and everyone sending him bread and he's just in there chilling. He's a spoiled ass little
Mm-hmm.
fucking bitch, bro. You know, I'm talking to the dudes who gotta fucking find pen pals and Mac bitches to get a couple dollars. The dudes who have to pull a CO and get some dope. I'm talking to the dudes who have to learn how to hustle. The dudes who, when you get out, you don't have shit. And
Man.
like the thing is you can make it. You just gotta take that will, that desire, and that drive, and you have to humble yourself. Cause all of us prison dudes, we come out here, we're thinking we're the shit. Like, oh, I'm bigger than you, I'm badder than you, I'll fuck more hoes than you, I'll get all this shit.
It's unrealistic expectations.
Unrealistic expectations. Like you have to
Yeah.
humble yourself. Even if you do have a CEO mindset, you don't have no experience in this realm. The day you
Yeah.
got put on the hood, you weren't calling shots. The day
Yeah.
you walked in the penitentiary, you weren't calling shots, right?
That's
You
a
have
good way
to
to break it down.
because you had to work your way up to that, right?
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
it's the same out here. And so all I'm trying to say is when you get that first job, use that as fuel to your fire. When you're getting punched in the face, man, stand up. Stand
Mm-hmm.
back up. Because I'll tell you, the worst day at McDonald's, probably, I don't know, they wouldn't hire me,
Woo!
is better than your best day in the penitentiary.
You've got to believe it. You've got to believe it. And it, you know what? These doors out here might shut, but another one will open up. It
But
really
they'll
is
start
dependent.
opening. That will start opening. Like, so what I did, like, I went from 11 to 12 and I just kept going. And then I signed up for DoorDash. And then I got two jobs. I was like, okay, I'm never going to have what's considered like a high paying job.
Right,
So
right.
I told myself, like, shit, I could get two of these jobs that pay $16 an hour. I just doubled my paper.
There you go. There you go.
And it's just that hunger. You have to want it. And see, they have so many people telling you, "Oh, the world's against you," and it sucks. That fools get out here and start feeling sorry for themselves and start believing the people who
Uh-huh.
don't want to see us successful. They start believing the bullshit they're getting fed, and they give up on themselves. And but what
That's
I'm
exactly
saying,
what happens. Yeah,
and
and here's another thing too, though. You burden people down with all these. That's like, man, I got to catch myself too about the things they pumped in me while I was incarcerated. Like, once you take a victim, you can never, just all this junk that was pumped in and verbiage about, you're an offender. You don't get to ever claim like any type of, don't feel sorry for me. Da, da, da. But you know what? Life is real. People have problems. People fall into situations that lead them down a treacherous road you would never expect to be on. Man, ain't nobody got time for you to get yourself together. Now, we're 45 minutes into the interview, and now we're 45 minutes in. Wow. Okay, so let me tell you, now that you got yourself together, tell us though, tell us how bring it full circle now that nope, go on back out. The camera looked better when you had it out. If you're gonna get it right, get it right. There you go. Like to hear, here you go. Tell us
okay.
so. End this out. Tell us. Okay, first of all, you do what you want to do now. I see that you're into professional card playing. You want to talk a little bit about it, or?
I mean, we can.
Yeah, well, I've seen that you've done some really good things with that. And I like to see that you're showing people that you can still have a recreational life. Like, it doesn't always have to be grit, 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 grind, grind, grind. You can find time for relaxation and family and
It's.
things like that.
I
That's what
mean,
we work towards.
playing cards professionally is not it's hard.
It is. I'm sorry.
And it is a grind.
Listen, I'm sorry.
And
My
you
bad.
get yeah, you can get punched and knocked down. But yeah, it's just so when I was in prison, I was in ad seg, and I thought there's a good portion of my life I didn't think I was ever gonna get out of prison. A good portion of my life I never had dreams or hopes or goals that weren't involved directly related to some penitentiary shit and like just being what I'd always been. And so like the only thing sometimes we'd get we'd see WSOP on TV once a year. And
Okay.
that was like the only thing that would
The
take my
World
mind.
Series of Poker,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
That was the only thing that I ever like dreamed about doing.
Mm-hmm.
And thought like, man, if I wasn't who I was and like I didn't end up how I've been and like I wasn't in prison, this would be something that I think I could do.
Hmm.
And so I finally took a shot at it and I've been traveling
And
this
you're pretty good, right?
uh, I mean, I'm in a
It
rough
just
patch right
depends.
now, so I'm in a rough patch right now, so I'm like beating myself up. But like, I mean, I've realized some decent success in a short amount of time. I'll say.
You know what? I will just have to tip my hat to you because to have the mayor's office actively involved with your organization after being a former number, and you said you wrote your DOC number down. I'm traumatized by mine. But at the end of the day, though, that is a part of who we are. And there's somebody who's walking out those gates that's just like us. And all you need is to just don't give up on yourself, man. Don't give up on yourself. And Kelly, what would you recommend? What do you got to tell somebody?
So I was like that too. Like when I first got out, I was like, I'll never eat a ramen noodle again. I'll
Yeah.
never like that DOC number. I hate it. But quickly what I realized is like the world and people in the world will try and use your past against you. So if you own it and you're proud of it, and here's what I say to people like, um, bro, you could talk bad about me for what sent me to prison. That's cool. It don't phase me none. Cause
Right,
I was
right.
there. I went through it. You know what I mean? But like you're over here, anytime you go to a job interview, they always ask you about, oh, would you go to prison for da 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 da? And this is how I would respond to them. I say, look, imagine this, right?
Okay.
Imagine the worst thing you've ever done in your life that you're not proud of. And anytime you go out somewhere, everyone wants to talk to you about it, no matter how long it's been. I said, so yeah, I went to prison. I went to prison when I was a kid.
Yeah. I
And
hate that.
but I'm no longer ashamed of myself. And
Right.
I don't feel the need to say certain things that I've been programmed, like you were saying, to say.
Yeah.
Like I am who I am, I did what I did, and I'm proud of myself.
As you should
And you're
be.
not gonna diminish me or my character, my quality of human being based on your biases.
How can we
Period.
find Tell us more about how we find you, what do we get on your website? How can we, what do we do? What do we do? Tell us more about authentic recovery and what that looks like.
So you can follow me on IG, Kelly underscore authentic, our website, authenticrecoveryhomes.com, and LinkedIn. You can follow me on there also.
Yes. And I feel like you're going to come back. I feel like we might have talked about possibly starting something where we're really hitting it with people who need the encouragement, need to know they can do it, people who, what do they call it, high performers. Because I feel like this, if you're in prison, you got to hustle. If you're waiting for the time to get out, even if you're not waiting for the time to get out, we are a different breed of individuals. And I would say 85% of the people in prison are some of the hardest working people you ever met. And that's just what it is. They just work at things in a different way. Their hustle manifests in a different way. They work their way up the ranks, and it isn't in organizations, but it's in an organization, all right.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's in an organization, all right. But regardless of that, I like that you're stepping out here and you're really helping people, and we need more like you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I just want people to know like, believe in yourself. Never stop giving up on yourself, no matter what anyone else or the world tells you. People
That's
will
right.
call you crazy. They'll say you're stupid. You're living in a different world. Stay in that world, man. Stay in your
That's right.
world. Chase
That's
your
right.
dreams. Chase your goals. Your vision is yours. Man, see my glasses? This is my prescription. You can't see out of my prescription. You know what I mean? So my vision is mine. I don't care who can see it or who believes in me or
That's
who
right.
feels me or not. And I say this, the reason why I wanted to get back with you is because I hired a big homie, like a fool who started a neighborhood, a really, really,
Nice.
really big neighborhood, and he been to the feds and all this shit. And man, when I first met him, we connected on like some homeboy type shit, right?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
I was like, we got to talking. I was like, damn, this is a cool ass homeboy. On some professional shit, this dude didn't know how to speak. He couldn't turn on a computer. He didn't know how to do nothing with the job.
Right, right.
But he was hungry, man. And I just remember when I was hungry, no one would let me eat.
Mm.
I said, man, they talking about, yo, do this, do that, but I'm starving, bro, and I don't have a plate, a fork, a spoon, no
I don't have
food,
anything.
nothing. And no one's helping me.
Right, right.
And so I had to tell the homie, I said, look, bro, I'm gonna fuck with you, dog. I said, but this is what I need from you. I need you to be humble and I need you to be willing.
Mm.
Okay. And now that dude's one of my best employees and he's a good, solid dude, right? But
Yeah.
but this is what I wanted to say because everyone talks about when you get out, oh, do this, do that, but no one ever talks about how doors get slammed in your face. No
Oh
one
yeah.
ever talks about how the bitch who rode with you when you get out, all of a sudden you're a good for nothing, worthless ass. I need some money. Da 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 da. No one ever
Terrible.
talks about how the second you step out them doors, you have all these expectations. Everyone wants something from you. Then they have an expectation of you, and we all everyone for the most part I've ever met in my life, minus a small percentage, is
Mm-hmm.
always like, "Oh, I'm doing good when I get out. I'm not doing this," and then they get out and they get slapped by the
Yeah.
world. They get
Yeah.
slapped by everyone else's expectations and they get back to what they know. But what I'm trying to say is if you just hold on long enough and you chase it down long enough and you allow yourself to step into spaces as the janitor, as the
Mhm.
dishwasher, as whatever the fuck it is, even though that's not where you want to be, give yourself I call I call it like a this is your life-saving job, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is your preservation job. So you don't have to go back to selling dope or kicking doors or getting high or
Mhm.
whatever. Um, and then from there, get a little bit of experience. And while you're there, look for the next best job.
That's
And you
right.
know what? Just keep looking for jobs and
And
keep going.
humility will get you a long way. Let me tell you, you were talking about when doors get slammed. I remember crying at nighttime because my computer skills were so bad and I didn't want people to think that I was dumb.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's
but
another
I knew
thing.
I was going back the next day. I wanted that paycheck.
When I got hired at Taco Bell, I was the oldest person that worked in that whole building.
Wow.
Every shift, everyone. I was older than the GM. I was older than all of them. And here's I would ask these little 15, 16-year olds. And I felt stupid. And I
Yeah.
felt ashamed. But I would ask them questions like, hey, how do I do this? I didn't like this is gonna sound dumb as fuck, but I was like, hey, how do you make this taco? You know what I mean? And it's not that I
Yeah.
don't know how to make a taco. It's I didn't know
Oh,
how to
wait,
make
wait, wait. Was I supposed to? Okay, I'm not going to make any inference about ethnicity, but you didn't know how to make a taco? Keep going.
no. I knew how to make a taco. I didn't know how to make Taco Bell's taco the way they wanted
I'm
it
messing
made.
with you. Go ahead.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But no, I would ask the questions. Even though I felt dumb, for not knowing how to do certain stuff, I would ask the questions. And everyone's like, damn, this old dude's stupid, dumb as a box of rocks. But who gives
No.
a fuck? Because I didn't want to go back to prison and I didn't care. I knew where I was at wasn't gonna be where I was gonna always be at. I just
Right,
had to
right.
I had to give myself the opportunity. And I feel like we give up on ourselves whenever we go back to whatever's getting us locked up, whether that's crime or substance use, to escape the reality because we've been beat down so much. And it's
Yeah.
not just in prison. I didn't just get beat down in prison, right? I come
No.
from nothing, bro. My mom's a whatever. My dad got killed. Like I got my family never wanted me because I'm white. Go over here, go over there, get in the system. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So when you're beat down. A lot of us in prison, we're in prison up here and we've been in there our whole
Hmm.
lives. It's not just whatever time the judge sent us to. So you gotta get out and you gotta start believing in yourself. And you gotta give yourself the space and allow yourself the time. Hey, if you have to go to a shelter and work a job from the shelter, you have to do what you have to do because it's not going to last forever.
Yeah, and guess what? You're not doing anything for yourself being in prison, and a lot of times, I was happy to see people come back just alive, and hope that maybe that time that was what was going to set them down and do it for them. Because I was the one that was long time. I'd see people come in and out, and just hope that they could get it together. But a lot of it is situational. You get in a situation and you feel like you can't win, and then just like, oh man, like everything's stacked against me. I used to do it all the time when I was on drugs, man. I go on a little bender, next thing you know, all my money's gone, next thing you know, I got bills to go, so I might as well just keep on going because now I've just screwed up my whole life. And I feel like once when we come out of prison, a series of things going wrong, we're in a bad way. So take heed of what Kelly's saying. If you hear anything from this show today, it's like, don't give up on your own hope, make a promise to yourself. Would you agree?
Not yeah, and not just that. Like everyone's like, "Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do this." But I literally learned you could get like two regular ass jobs and make really good money.
Yep,
You
sure
know,
could.
so like just find out the legit hustle, right?
Yeah.
Fast food nowadays in my city, fast food pays you the same day. So you could
What?
go work the fast food day shift at one spot, a fast food night shift at another spot, and you could touch some money, right? Now,
That's the lick.
but you just gotta learn how to spend your money. You can't just
Yeah.
blow it and trick it off. You gotta. Like, we got to start holding ourselves accountable and becoming
Mm-hmm.
responsible. Budget your money. Know where it's going. Know when it's coming. Learn how to put yourself in the position to win. And I tell this, like, everyone on my team and everyone who comes through Authentic, I tell them all the time, like, people who come from my community and my background and in and out of jails and prisons and all that, we are more equipped to be successful than these people who grew up having everything handed to them.
Because they've never had to work for it. They've never been without. And when
Not
you've
only
been
that, they
without,
don't, when some gets hard, they fold. They're
that's
like,
right.
oh, I need to call my therapist. I need Xanax. My mom, give me this, give me that.
Yeah.
Us, what do? Everyone in your hood had a hustle. Everyone
Got to
in
make
my
it
hood
happen.
has a hustle. You know, all the girls, they're
Yeah.
gonna braid hair. All the
That's
dudes, they're
right.
gonna cut hair. When we get a little bit older, hey, we're gonna go rob the corner store. Hey, we're gonna start selling work.
I'm
We're gonna do
done.
this. Nah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
hear
so
you.
that does translate in this realm. Hear me, believe me. That translates into the professional realm really well because we know how to pivot. When shit gets hard, all right, I'm gonna move this way.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And there's power to the pivot. Let me tell you, that's one of my keynote talks. So if anybody wants to book a keynote, thank you so much for the lead in, Kelly. Yes, the power of the pivot. Also, I have a book coming out, post incarceration syndrome, a little bit of my story. Look forward to here in the coming months. Kelly, I look for you to come back, pour some more knowledge on us. And maybe I think you need to speak a little bit more on budgeting, financial literacy, what's going in and what's going out. So maybe we can look forward to an episode about don't hustle backwards. How's that
Yeah,
sound?
yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, because that is a thing. All right. I'll see you later. Thank you for coming once more, Kelly.
All right, thanks for having me.